Hey everyone, Afrodo Reviews here, and I bring you books to help you decide, is that worth reading over second breakfast? Or do they deserve the fiery pits of Mount Doom? Well, let's decide. Today's books, today is a TBR. I'm going to try to go back to doing my TBRs, but again, part of the reason I stopped doing them is I couldn't promise I would actually have time to read the books I put on here. So I wanted to make sure that I wasn't giving false promises. For example, most of my previous months, like with the D&D, I had 4 D&D books I wanted to read, but ended up only being able to read 2. This is another one of those months that I look forward to as the year comes on. And what month is that? That's right. Coming at you again, I'm going to bring you Star Wars EU novels. I dive into the forgotten works tossed out by Disney when they bought the company. And I tell you, is that worth reading? Because the EU is a mixed bag. But with not much else to say, I honestly really love this month. I love Star Wars as a franchise in general. And the EU is something of my safe space when it comes to the Star Wars franchise, since I really don't like what Disney has done to the movies, at least. The shows are not terrible, at least most of them aren't. I did kind of fall behind a little bit on them though. So, in any case, let's go ahead and dive into the EU. Now, I've already kind of stated most of my Star Wars knowledge. I don't know why I did such exaggerated facial features there. So, for the matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and dive into the books. Now, normally I only did this one year. Well, last year, I did it where I read one book from each of the periods that Star Wars, has. There's the Old Republic. There's the Clone Wars. Well, there's the Old Republic, there's the prequel era, there's the original trilogy era, and then there's the New Republic era. Now, unfortunately, this time I don't have a more Old Republic book to read for you, so I'm ultimately gonna have to do 2 from the Empire era, the original trilogy era. But I decided to compensate with another book, but we'll get into that when we get to it. For now, we're gonna start with the earliest book. Want something from the Clone Wars. And that book is the Cestus Deception. I'm sure I'm saying that right. Pretty sure I'm saying it wrong. I think I've heard that character's name before in one of the shows, but the Cestus Deception. Taking place during the Clone Wars era, this features Master Kit Fisto and Obi-Wan Kenobi in an adventure. Now, Kit Fisto was always one of those Jedis I really liked even before he got fleshed out. But that was mostly because his looks are pretty cool. He also had one of the best Lego figures from the old Lego Star Wars games. Also, no offense, I cannot get into the newest Lego Star Wars, like the remake of them, the Skywalker Saga. I don't know. It's just I miss the old pantomime days where they didn't actually say anything. So it had a sense of humor back then that's not quite there anymore. I don't know if it's just because I got older or because it's generally not as good of a game. But anyways, let me go ahead and read you the back. When the economically depressed government of Ord Cestus threatens to sell an incredibly dangerous battle droid to the Separatists, Supreme Chancellor Palpatine dispatches a team led by Jedi Knight Obi-Wan Kenobi to the planet. Their mission? To halt the deal. A peaceful resolution is preferable, but if all else fails, the Republic will not hesitate to demonstrate the consequences of disloyalty by launching a full-scale attack, wiping out not only the means of the biodroid production, but countless lives as well. Seize the meaning of production. I get the feeling the person who wrote the synopsis really wanted to say that. The prospect of such slaughter only fuels Obi-Wan's growing suspicions about the sinister path the Republic seems to be taking. Facing a crisis of conscience, Obi-Wan must find the wisdom and strength to prevent a bloodbath and safeguard the Republic, while abiding by the ancient code which he has pledged his life. Reading that, I've always kind of wondered how much of the Jedi Code centers around the Republic. I know that's ultimately what led to their fall, but early works like this always makes me assume, did the Code specifically mention that they have to safeguard the Republic? Or is that something the Jedi decided to do themselves? And it ultimately is what led to their fall. I can see why protecting a centralized government in the galaxy would help facilitate the peace. But like I said, this book's like this, where the consequences are either do this or I'm going to glass the planet, does seem kind of like one of those. I feel like as a Jedi, if their oath doesn't specifically mention they have to serve the Republic, then they should step up and say, no, you're not doing that. But in any case, I've actually started this one a little bit. I haven't gotten very far in. I'm only like 20 pages in. But fun fact, if you're reading this around someone, make sure they know this guy's name is Kit Fisto. Because I was reading it and someone walked by and says, wait, does that say Master Fisto? And it's like, yeah, that's a little awkward to try to explain. No, I'm not reading a bizarre erotica. So anyways, that's what this book is going to be. The first book of this month will be The Cestus Deception, Star Wars. Then, continuing the theme of Obi-Wan, the next book I'm going to read is Kenobi.
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
This is the EU version of the Kenobi show. A book written about the interim between when Kenobi goes into hiding in episode 3 to when he comes out of episode 4 to teach Luke. Now, I don't know how much of this book has been used for the Kenobi show itself. I've heard very mixed things about the Kenobi show, and a couple of things I've seen are like, that's kind of weird. I don't even think that would work in the EU. I'm hoping this does a little bit better from some of the things I've heard. One of the things is not taking the canon of the established original trilogy and smashing it to pieces over your knee. Please stop that, Disney. You've like dismantled so much of the original trilogy. Please stop. Anyways, so maybe this will tell us how Obi-Wan went from youthful Ewan McGregor to I've aged 30 years and 10 years. Alec Guinness. So, in any case, to avoid going on a Disney rant, let's go ahead and just read the back of the book. Tatooine, the harsh desert planet on the edge of civilized space, is an unlikely place to find a Jedi Master in hiding. Known only to the locals as Ben, the bearded and robed off-worlder shares nothing of his past and goes to great pains to remain an outsider. But when violence erupts between some of Tatooine's farmer and a tribe of marauding Tusken raiders, Ben finds himself drawn into the conflict. It's a move that may reveal him as Obi-Wan Kenobi, hero of the Clone Wars, enemy of the people, as opposed to Ben Kenobi, cousin of Obi-Wan, moisture farmer, and endanger his true mission as protector of the galaxy's last hope. But with blood unjustly spilled, innocent lives threatened, and a ruthless opponent unmasked, Ben has no choice but to summon Jedi wisdom and the formidable power of the Force. Now already that does sound a little bit better than what I know of the Kenobi show, because I'm really hoping Leia doesn't show up. I have nothing against Leia as a character, obviously. I think I made that clear in my the Thrawn book. In any case, since I can't seem to remember what that book is called, despite it being one of my best books of last year, I do really like Leia as a character. I just don't think she should have been in the Kenobi series, personally. It kind of ruins the continuity. It doesn't ruin it, but it does make the continuity all instead of as it should be. But in any case, I'm eager to look forward to that. I may watch the Kenobi show about the same time I read this, just to see what they did take from it and what they didn't. It does kind of sound like the Empire may not be a huge threat in that book, which automatically is going to make it way different, at least, again, from what I know. But in any case, let's go on. Now, the next book is one of the books that is actually probably the newest on the shelf in terms of when it was written. I do have some interest in reading some of the newer canon stuff that was published after the EU was decanonized into the Legends, but I haven't had a strong desire to go to that. Mostly because it doesn't feel as interesting to me. It doesn't expand the world anymore. It's more just kind of like it feels like cash grab from Disney, I guess. This is a good way to put it. And that's probably unfair, but this is actually one of the ones I really did want to read, even after it, after it got decanonized. And that's the Ahsoka book. Now, I'm going to go ahead and consider this proper EU material already, because what I do know about this book, it's basically been decanonized by a lot of the official Disney works that have come out since then. I know that the Tales of the Jedi briefly kind of used this as an inspiration for its Ahsoka post Order 66 episode, and that it heavily changed the story that's told in here. Now, I've heard some nice things about this book, and I did briefly start trying to read it on my Kindle app, but that was about the time when I still had a lot of hang-ups about reading on the Kindle, so I didn't get very far. I can't tell you much about it. But I will say that Ahsoka is one of my favorite characters in the Star Wars canon, bar none. Even, differentiating between Disney canon and original canon. So, I'm excited to read this. But, what's this about? Well, let's read the back and see. She thought her war was over, but a new battle is just beginning. Ahsoka Tano, once a loyal Jedi apprentice to Anakin Skywalker, planned to spend the rest of her life serving the Jedi Order. But after a heartbreaking betrayal, she left the Order and forged her own path. Anakin and the other Jedi were still there for her, though, whenever she needed them, or they needed her. And then the Emperor took over the galaxy, and the Jedi were ruthlessly murdered. Now Ahsoka is truly on her own, unsure she can be part of something larger ever again. She takes refuge on a remote farming planet, where she befriends a young woman named Kaden, and begins to carve out a simple life for herself. But Ahsoka cannot escape her past, or the reach of the Empire. When Imperial forces occupy the planet, she must decide whether to become involved, even if it means exposing her identity. Her choices... Why did that... Decide whether to become involved? I think whoever wrote the synopsis forgot to include the or part of that sentence. Her choices will have devastating effects for those around her, and lead her to a new hope for the galaxy. And after that, it's mostly just, praises for the book. Like I said, I only heard some things about this book. I know that the Season 6 of the Clone Wars created some tiffs for the canon that it established, in addition to the Ahsoka series and then, the Rebels series and all that, eventually kind of just decanonizing everything that was written in this book. Sort of. Again, I'm not too sure. It'd be one of those I'd have to compare once I'm done. But anyways, that only leaves one more book for the month. Possibly. I didn't actually check how many Mondays were in this month before I did this video, so if there's one more, I'll probably end up doing it. Any excuse to read more Star Wars. Anyways, but hey, you know what? I know what all of you are thinking. And how could I possibly not continue the Dark Forces Rising series? Not the Dark Forces Rising. The Thrawn trilogy? Heir to the Empire! That's what it's called. That's what I knew I'd remember. I remembered it without any help. Ignore this. But anyways, it's the sequel to Heir to the Empire, Dark Forces Rising. As you can see, I have a much older edition of that book. I don't actually know when this was published, but it was published some time ago because this is a hardcover. Let's see if I can read this data. It says this was published in 1992, so before this edition specifically, 1992. In any case, as you can see, I have a much older edition. Actually, in between the time when I read last the one, The Heir to the Empire, and now, I've actually gotten the entire trilogy in the old hardcover format. So I'm loving that. Personally. But yeah, this is the sequel to Heir to the Empire, a book I loved so much. I put it on my best books of 2023, and I looked forward to the day I was going to read the sequel. I actually planned to read it way before now. I just ended up getting caught up in all my other books and my other TBRs that I decided that I'd just wait till now to continue it, stick with the theme, do all my Star Wars review in May, get you guys, focused. Anyways, as you know, I clearly loved the Heir to the Empire series. So Let's continue on. What is the Dark Forces rising about? 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, the fragile republic that was born with the defeat of Darth Vader, the Emperor, and the infamous Death Star stands threatened from within and without. The dying Empire's most cunning and ruthless warlord, Grand Admiral Thrawn, has taken command of the remnants of the Imperial fleet and launched a massive campaign aimed at the Republic's destruction. With the aid of the unimaginable weapons long hidden away by the Emperor on a backwater planet, Thrawn plans to turn the tide of the battle, overwhelm the New Republic, and impose his iron rule throughout the galaxy. Meanwhile, dissension and personal ambition threaten to tear the Republic apart, as Princess Leia, pregnant with Jedi twins, risks her life to bring a proud and lethal alien race into alliance with the Republic. Han and Lando Calrissian race against time to find proof of treason inside the highest Republic Council, only to discover instead a ghostly fleet of warships that could bring doom to their friends and victory to their enemies. But most dangerous of all is a new dark Jedi, risen from the ashes of a shrouded past, consumed by bitterness, and thoroughly, utterly insane. Now, he schemes to use his awesome mastery of the Force to summon young Skywalker, allay his misgivings, cunningly enthrall him, and ultimately corrupt him to the dark side. Continued on the back flap. Not continued on the back flap. That's just about the author section. It lied to me. Anyways, I'm very excited to read that. As I said before, I think this was before Sith got canonized as the actual term for dark side user. I remember having a brief conversation with someone about this during the time of my last review when I mentioned that, but I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that. This is before I fact checked myself, so please. A lot like the Halo game when I was talking about the elites. I'm still positive that Halo the Flood talked about the elites as if they were a simian race, and not the Sangheili that we see. But it's all in the past. In any case, I'm looking forward to reading this book the most. So, without further ado, I got nothing else to say other than look forward to this month, guys. I am so much. I'm going to try to do tags again. I can't promise anything again. I kind of push my luck a lot by doing these TBRs because I have to keep to the schedule. And, man, it's hard sometimes. Like, some days I'm literally editing the entire video an hour before it goes out. So, you'll have to forgive me if I'm falling behind on doing the funner stuff of booktube. Mostly because I don't have time to do it. And when I do, my knee is killing me. So anyways, without further ado, just remember, with every book comes an adventure. And I'm taking these adventures far, far away. That doesn't quite work. That's more of a fairy tale. A long time ago, far, far away. Yeah, forget it, it's ruined.